I'm going to quote this, which says, "I won 2 Brits. I felt I didn't deserve them.
Yes.
I got on radio A-lists. I immediately wanted something else.
Yes.
I got on Parky, which is was a big chat show here. I felt I did a shit job. The list goes on and on. I got a new boyfriend. I pick holes in him and then in myself for doing so ferociously. Behind all this is a sense of not being good or valuable or lovable."
Yes.
So those are quite contrasting assessments of your life.
Yeah.
And your one is pretty brutal, isn't it? The one I've just read out.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty honest.
So that was back in 2012, and to be fair, later on in the same book, you write that you were at a turning point then. But
it would tell you what I love about hearing you read that back to me is, and one of the things that I do in group therapy is that when you go into group therapy, people will often repeat back what they've heard you say, which sometimes can be quite punchy. It's like, "I feel like a shit person. What I heard you say is, you feel like a shit person." It's like, ooh, gosh, okay. So hearing that back, what I really like is I feel no shame hearing that back. It would be fine if I did. I really feel no shame. Yeah, that was me. And, can, will still be to various, degrees dependent on the minute of the day. Yeah.
But you didn't feel any sense of achievement that the outside world sees about you, saw in you at that time?
No. And actually, just thinking about it, that doesn't surprise me, because if I'm looking to fill up an area that is devoid of any, self-love, self-worth, for whatever reason, normally to do with childhood, I'm not going to find that from external things. It'll be very temporary, So it doesn't really surprise me that those things didn't, I really didn't feel like I was worth it. I might get I remember getting, someone rang up and said, "You're going to do the new Burberry campaign." And I was like, "Oh, hooray." And I felt that gave me some moment, a moment of happiness. So I thought, oh, I'll be really cool now. And I can tell people I'm a model. But then they took it away from me, and I was like, "Oh dear, that's not very good." So then I crashed. So, that's just an example of how something can come in, and yes, I can feel momentary happiness, but it's only momentary. It doesn't come from a stable place.
And lots of people, when they talk about mental health, talk about, I know it sounds a bit like a cliche, dealing with things day to day. So if I were to say to you now, what is your mental health today, right now, what would you say?
I'm quite amazed, actually, because normally mornings are pretty hard for me.
Right.
Which is why I really don't I wake up early.
Right.
Because I tend to wake up my nervous system seems to think constantly that it's about to die, which is not the case, but sometimes I'm like, that's quite irritating. Then I wake up, so it takes me about 2 hours to properly kind of get into the world.
So you're in kind of shock now, aren't you?
But at the moment, I'm
straight out of bed to here.
Well, maybe a little bit, but actually normally I would have reached for a coffee and at least 2-3 cigarettes, but I don't feel a need to have one, which must mean that I feel very well rested, despite the stress of sleeping through my alarm, which very rarely I do. Because of mindfulness, because I've done mindfulness in the past.
Can you explain a bit about what that is?
Yeah, I'll
for
say
you?
mindfulness.
People have different kind of views of it, don't they?
Yeah, I worry that mindfulness seems a bit like a cult. So I practice mindfulness. But I just say, I'm just aware of what I'm feeling. So, yes, it was stressful. I woke up, people, I've got missed calls. I'm like, okay, well, let's just bring it back down to basics. No one's going to die, so that's good. I'm going to get a car. I'm going to do the best that I can. Did I mean to oversleep? No. So I'm not going to shame myself for that. I'm not going to get in a panic. So that's not going to help. And then I had actually quite a pleasant journey here.
So you kind of cut yourself more slack than you would have done?
Way more, and I'm just noticing it. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm a bit anxious. That's interesting. Oh, I'm a little bit anxious walking up the ramp. Okay, that's interesting. But because I'm watching it, it doesn't overtake me.
You felt something walking up that ramp? about you? You were conscious of what you were.
I was nervous coming
Were you?
into the talk,
Yeah.
because I mean, like, from a basic, point of view. I mean, I get up on stage every day, but it's
Yeah.
like not the most settling thing for my nervous system to stand there with like how many hundreds of people watching. It's like.
But I think that's one of the interesting things about you and your openness about your mental health issues. That for me, I mean, I don't like being on a stage, but this is what you do. So for most people who feel a sense of anxiety or worry that they're not good enough, I mean, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because that's the last thing you would, in a sense, think that you would want, to get up on the stage,
Yes.
to go in front of a film crew, to be beamed live around the world like you are now. How does that work with you, and how do you deal with the stresses that it must place on you?
The stresses are now very specific, so it would only happen if I'm feeling very anxious, and I deliberately bring it back to my body. I've done a lot of cognitive therapies, mind therapy, ways of working, CBT, working out certain things, exercising the brain basically, and talk therapy. When I was 6, I didn't want to go to that party. I talk about it. I really didn't want to go to that party. And
was Madonna not there?
What's that?
Madonna wasn't there.
Madonna wasn't there.
Yeah, well,
no,
rubbish.
I don't. It wouldn't have made a difference then. It would have been Michael Jackson on there. So I've done a lot of that. Now I do body therapy. So I bring it back to my body. Don't get distracted by my mind. Bring it back to the body. So for work, if I'm having an anxious day, yes, getting up on stage is not the best thing for a body that already thinks that it's about to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. It's like, and act 1. I'm like, oh my God, now I'm disassociating. However, I'm just very aware of that now. And also, what I always say to myself, I don't have to carry on my job. Just because I've been a performer for 16 years, I've become a lot more healthier as a person. If it means that age 39, publicly I'm 35, I think. This isn't going out anywhere, is it?
No, you're not, because I checked.
I can change my job. I can. It's like, if it just becomes too much for me, I can change my job. I mean, look, I was on a show, Strictly
Yes, I've
Ballroom.
heard of
Strictly
that.
Dance.
Strictly Come Dancing here.
I forget because I'm in Strictly Ballroom,
I know, I
the
didn't shift
musical,
over that as well.
and I was on this show.
Which is Dancing with the Stars internationally.
Yeah, I was on it, and I left because I was too ill.
But that, I mean,
I
again,
just
on the stage, you're on that stage, right? That's the biggest show in the UK.
Biggest show in the UK, yeah.
You're a big name on that show. It can't have been an easy. It's not like you ringing in and saying, "I've got a sick day at work." I mean, how did you deal with that, and what was the reaction like when you pulled out?
I just said, what was the reaction like? Friends, family, fine. I think I underestimated the reaction in terms of being famous and having photographers outside my house, which doesn't really happen to me anymore. So I was literally a bit like, oh, hello.
After you decided to leave?
Yeah, I was just not used to that kind of
Yeah.
thing anymore. I'd done my time with that. That was a bit scary because it's not nice having that in my face. Particularly one guy, by the way, that has post-traumatic stress disorder, which is what I have. And he goes, I've got post-traumatic stress disorder, and he's flashing in my face. I'm like, I was like, well, get your camera out of my face, man. He's like, thanks so much for all you're doing.
That's proper inclusivity, that is.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're doing so much for mental health. It's like, you're doing nothing for my mental health.
That's brilliant.
I mean, that was really, really funny. And there was some vile people, And
people on the street, people in the
no,
papers?
people in the street were fine. I mean, I tried to avoid anything in the papers, so I listened to Radio 4. And but then I happened to be drawn into them. Even on PM, some vile journalist came on. I won't name because there's no point. And I got sucked in. I thought, oh gosh, that's not very nice. The irony being that it was Mental Health Week.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was that. the TV show carried on.
Yeah.
It's a TV show.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if I was expecting flowers and all that, that ain't going to happen.
I read something, this is a bit dramatic, and tell me if it's true, or one of your fake Wikipedia entries. Did you looked up, you Googled how to break your legs,
Yes,
is that
I
right?
did.
To get
Yes,
out
I
of Strictly
did.
Come Dancing.
I did. I did.
You actually did that?
Yeah, and that makes me feel a bit upset thinking about that, because that's really sad. I did, because I just was like, I was just getting a lot of pressure.
From yourself, from other people?
From there was some pressure, but in the end of the day, listen, I'm an adult. It was my choice, and I just thought it would just be easier, because then I don't have to explain anything.
Well, I think that's one of the things.
And then I get the money as well.
No,
and I was like, how do I break my leg, make it look like a dancing accident?
but
so
I
that
mean,
wasn't
for
going to
me,
happen.
that's analogous to ringing in sick saying I've got a bad tummy, and actually it's because I can't face the day to day. So you'd rather have do an extreme thing like breaking your leg. It's
I
physical
just think it was
health and not
easier.
mental
Yeah,
well-being.
yes, exactly.
So it's
mental
fine to-
well-being.
yeah.
Yeah, because people still go like, even now, you know, if I have you know, sometimes I can get cripplingly anxious, horrible, and my frontal lobes go offline, which is my adult brain. I go back to like I'm going to be fight or flight, literally like that. That goes offline. I always put the brain in like 3 sections. Hello, we're here today. Oh dear, that's not good. Oh dear, I'm a lizard and I'm in, you know, the Ice Age. And once that, it's called emotional hijack. Once that happens, it's very difficult. So if I'm having a really bad day, I might choose to share. Be careful who, yes, we can all share with people, but also be careful who we share with, because many people will just invalidate it. So for example, I'll go, gosh, I'm feeling anxious today. And someone will come up, go, oh, but you're great. You're great in the show. I'm like, I know I'm great in the show. I don't need that. Thank you. I'm not depressed. I'm not anxious because I don't think I can do it. I'm just anxious. And the difference of someone, it's not their fault not being able to hear or trying to fix or, you know, actually slightly invalidates what I'm saying. Whereas the difference with someone just going, oh, I really hear that you're anxious. Is there anything I can do to support you? What a difference. And even saying that, I feel like, oh, that's nice and clean and nice. You know, but people, the problem is that people want to hijack our experiences, actually, talking of hijack. They want to take our experiences. Oh, you're okay. Oh, no, you don't worry. No, I'm not worrying. You know, people do it the whole time. So the problem, whereas with a broken leg, it's like, I got a broken leg.
Yeah.
Oh dear, it has to go into plaster.
Yeah.
No one goes, oh, it's all right, you're still good at your job. You know, you're not in that whole, you're not in that, that whole narrative isn't happening. A whole narrative comes to the floor, and basically what comes to the floor is people's own emotional stuff.
But do you think with the broken leg analogy, which we'll move off in a minute, you know, your broken leg gets better and you're going to be okay. Do you think with if you admit, which is that's a bad word anyway, to mental health, is like you are tarred with that forever and you'll never get better and you...
No, because I think bless you. I think there's a few things. I think so I'm going to talk about shame. Learning by coming out of the dark, the shame that I felt of having low self-esteem or whatever it would be, when I share it, 50% of that goes. What comes with the falling away of the shame is also the healing process happens. So, and well, then as my self-esteem starts getting stronger, the shame starts falling away more, I then don't care about what other people think. So I might say, like I genuinely don't care about what you think in here today. I respect all of you, but I don't care what you think of me, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know, because I'm feeling, now, I care about how you're feeling, and I would hear your feeling states and completely validate it. And if there's anything that I did that was upsetting you, or I would be very prepared to listen to that. But I genuinely don't care about what people think. And so because of that, because I'm proud of myself and proud of being, you know, all of me, the totality of me, then the healing goes even more and even more, because we can get trapped in our own projections of what we think other people are thinking. You know, I could have been sitting here the whole time thinking, oh God, you're looking at me thinking, God, you waste of space, sleeping through your alarm. That could be my projection. Yeah, okay, I could. But I've done so much work on, you know, owning my emotional state and finding the right network of people, doing things like this. I mean, this for me is, I could have woken up in a really awful state. By the end of this talk, I'll be completely happy as Larry. Off I go to do my matinee.
Oh, that's good.
Because this, for me, is true connection.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than this. I mean, it really doesn't.
That's good to hear.
You know?
You mentioned PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that you have. A lot of people have different views of what that is. For you, what is it, and how does it affect you?
Well, so post-traumatic stress disorder. So trauma is a sense of helplessness and hopelessness. And incidentally, when I was diagnosed with it, I thought post-traumatic stress disorder is to do with soldiers, or, you know, wartime, or natural disasters, let's say, or being involved in an attack of some sort. And that is the case, definitely. The definition of trauma can be rolled out past being in a war zone. So, for example, for me, being in boarding school, which was horrific, was a war zone. You know, I literally had to survive from the age of 7 to 13, living amongst abusive teachers.
And that wasn't about your sexuality, was it? It was just a horrible... It sounded like a horrible
No,
school.
sexuality age 7, if you've got a teacher that likes to come in, be drunk and pretend to fall asleep on your bed and put his arm around you, a teacher who's 18 stone and I'm 7 years old, no, sexuality doesn't come into it. What comes into it is instinctive fight or flight. So what's upsetting is there are people like Piers Morgan, I had a run-in at the Chelsea Flower Show. I mean, how middle class does that sound?
That's brilliant. That is brilliant as well. What kind of run-in was it? I mean, how does that work?
He wasn't very nice about me, and I choose to mention it because actually I'm going to support him, and say I support anyone's questioning of what PTSD is if they're so in relation to, if they relate it to the armed forces. I'm being very appropriate here by not.
So it's all internal. Don't worry, you can tell us.
So what I ask is that people perhaps don't see it. No, what I understand is people can see it as an attack on people that have been in the army.
Oh, yeah.
So who do you think you are? You're in boarding school. You're not. You know, it's like no. You need to get out of the head, bring it back to what trauma is. So, if I'm 4 and I drop this glass, and my grandmother shouts at me and says, "You waste of space," and I genuinely find that traumatic in my physical response, not in the head. Fine. It's not for anyone to say that's not traumatic. You can have different definitions of traumas, big T's, they're called big T's and little t's. But trauma is energy that is trapped in the body that doesn't get resolved, essentially. And then it works its way into our neural pathways. So let's say it hasn't resolved. I don't shake off the trauma, which normally happens from, you know, like clammy hands or get a bit hot. Or, you know, when we hear something and we go, oh, gosh, that was a bit scary. That's actually our body releasing the fear.
Yeah.
It is. It's kind of amazing. If I haven't released that from the glass situation, every time I see a glass, that will be works into my neural pathways to go back to that sense of trauma. To the sense that, my gosh, once I'm 39, you know, it starts getting big reactions.
I'm really interested in the way you talk about the physical side of mental health. And you described the story when you were in cabaret, which sounded absolutely terrifying because you had a bad period in terms of, I got
dissociated.
Yes.
Yeah, depersonalisation. Yeah, I've been through the mill. Yeah, that was really awful. I mean, that was awful.
But that's like can you tell us a bit more? Cause that's like
it was like a walking I felt like a ghost in the machine. Not a ghost in the machine, a ghost. I got so stressed, so much of that energy and emotional trauma came flooding into my system, ironically because I was actually getting better, that my brain shut down to protect me, and it's called dissociation, depersonalization and derealization. Now, we all disassociate a bit, so when we're driving home on our, you know, we've done it a million times, we might get home and think, God, I don't really remember that journey, that's a bit worrying. You know, the brain has taken it in, it's just the emotional part of the brain has just gone, I don't really need to, I know this, I don't really need to worry if I've seen my favourite oak tree for the 50th time. So it's on a bigger, that's on a bigger scale. So basically, literally one day, I just was meeting my Faye, my manager, around the corner actually, and I just suddenly didn't recognise her. But I recognised her. So like, I knew it was Faye, but I had absolutely no sense of emotional connection, you know? So...
I can't imagine what that's like. It's just...
Well, it was quite disturbing for quite a long time.
How long were you ill for?
Well, no, I had it for 3 years. Yeah. And it took... I diagnosed it myself, and I was with a very, very good psychiatrist. I had a lot of arguments with him. Because I'd also gone on medication because I was in the middle of a breakdown, which I can highly recommend.
Save it for when you're 40, whenever that is.
Save it for when you're 40. Oh, I don't want another one. It's only 1 year off. I've done mine.
5 years.
5 years. 5 years off. Gosh. No. It's just not much fun, and it was really awful. But and I very rarely came out of it to actually...
you said that you couldn't see your own reflection in the mirror.
I couldn't see my reflection in the mirror. No, I would look in the mirror and be like, I know that's you, Will, but I just don't, I'm not seeing. I still get that sometimes, but it's really not so bad now. I got, oh, it was just horrific. And I couldn't really describe it to anyone because, again, people thought I had depression. It's like, I don't have depression. I just can't see my face in the mirror. You know, and that was really isolating until I came. I diagnosed it myself because I went on Google, and Google was my friend in this occasion. You know, Google came up trumps. Yeah. And then there's not really much treatment. There's no medication that you can take. You know, once the nervous system is fired up to that degree, your body's gone into natural... It is the ultimate defence mechanism, by the way. If I jumped off a building, my brain would do that, so and my body would, so I wouldn't feel anything when I hit the ground. So it's actually the most remarkable system. I'm just like, I just did not need it. And at
that time, you said you had suicidal thoughts around that time?
I started getting suicidal thoughts, yeah. Then, because I just thought, I just don't think I can live like this. And it is a big, a lot of people that have depersonalization, derealization, they do get suicidal thoughts, and they can kill themselves, yeah. And it's very common amongst people with PTSD, people who've been to war, people that have been in a car crash, you know. Yeah, I got very suicidal. I've had 2 times ever where I felt, oh gosh, this is, because I don't want to kill myself. I mean, I really like life. But yeah, 2 times, and both times I sort of had the Samaritans on, I had my phone with me, and I thought, well, because it starts to get into a...
Like a tunnel?
Yeah. And that's when it starts becoming, because I've read a bit, I've spoken to a few people about it, and they say once it becomes like that and you feel you can't stop it. Yeah. And I thought, oh, I don't like this. This feels like I'm sort of going somewhere and I don't even want to go there. Yeah. So I only had that twice. But I always know the Samaritans are there. And the second time I rang the Samaritans. And they were brilliant. I kept on calling the woman Doris. Her name wasn't Doris. But I thought, I'm suicidal. Who's going to split hairs? But she said the most brilliant thing. She said, are you tired of your life, or are you tired of having extreme anxiety.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, you're a clever woman, Doris. Yeah, I said, I'm not tired of life. She's brilliant. She calmed me down.
I'm very impressed by the way you're not dismissive, but you say, I only thought about taking my life twice, because that is quite a big thing to say in a room like this. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and what we're talking about a lot today, is how we can support other people who are going through mental health problems, and how you can be more open and honest, because in a work environment, and I've seen lots of statistics about this, people worry about how they're going to be judged, they worry about their chances of promotion. How do you think we can be more honest about our mental health? And you mentioned a bit about not going, oh, you're absolutely fine, don't worry about it. But
yes. I think, well, first of all, I think even having this kind of conversation is amazing. I was saying out there 15 years ago, I wouldn't have thought BBC being here talking about this, You're like, what? I think that it's about creating safe spaces. So I think I'm going to, can I ask if we just pause on the photographs just for a bit? Only because the noise is I can't, it's stopping my thought process. Thank you. No, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's still setting a boundary there. No, I really appreciate that, thank you, because otherwise I would have just sat and not been present. Yeah. I think it's about creating safe spaces, because I don't think walking into an open plan office and going, I've got depression today, and who ordered a latte? I don't think that will necessarily get the maximum, nourishment that it could have. So I think it's about creating safe spaces. So when people can talk and communicate, they feel like that's not going any further, Because this is the thing. Yes, emotions should have boundaries. Yes, I feel anxious today. Also, I have a job to do. We all have a job to do. We are at work. I need to get on stage. I need to fulfill my responsibilities, earn my wage packet, go home and watch Netflix, And so emotions have to be in boundaries as well. So by doing that, it helps everything. So create a safe space, work out a way. I'm a huge believer in having just maybe people coming in or taking a page of a certain book every day and going, right, let's look at how we listen to hearing each other's emotional states. That's a big one for me. How about not using... Let's look at why we use the word but. What about always talking from the I position rather than the you position? Little things like that will be really helpful. But also I think it's access to the right people. So there is a point person that can go, okay, we're a small office, we're not a Crow, we don't have an in-house psychiatrist. But here, we know these people, these people, these people, and this is how you can get access to certain benefits or certain deals or all those kind of things. So it has to come, however big or small the business, there has to be a safe space where people can come to. And it has to, when I say safe, it has to, this goes no further, this is not repeated. This is, what's the word when you tell me something and I'm...
Confidential.
It's confidential.
Yeah. I'm going to slightly change gear now and ask you, when I say the words Bobby Ewing, what do you think of? We are in the psychiatrist chair now, aren't we?
My first crush.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how old were you? I've got a picture in case nobody knows who Bobby Ewing is.
Oh,
this is the soap opera called Dallas. I was going to use the shower one.
Oh, did he have a Mercedes? I didn't know that.
You can keep that. It's only wet because it's not through the excitement of having Bobby Ewing here. So it's just on the table there. So you were 7.
Not that attractive, actually, isn't he?
I think he was, and I think he still is.
Is he?
So you were Bobby, not Pam Ewing.
Pam? Didn't Pam get taken by aliens?
That was Fallon.
That was Fallon.
Get it right.
Oh, God, what was going on there? Yeah, well, that was sort of, yes, I know. I think I was sort of 7, 8, and yes, I realised that I was more Bobby than Pam. And you know,
And
so a star was born.
And what was that like? Were you fine with it, or did you buried it?
I think probably from that beginning, you know, there is a huge sense of it. Not now, I hope, so much, but a huge sense of that being deeply, deeply wrong. You know, deeply malfunctioning.
Mm-hmm.
There's something has gone wrong
With you
in the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that can't. I think I can emotionally relate to that, having kind of pretty much worked out my gay shame.
After a long time of...
After a long time. Well, I just thought it was just so tick box. I was like, oh, boarding school, yes, okay. Gay, yes, you know. But therapy doesn't work like that. It's like, oh, no, you have to emotionally connect to it. And then when I emotionally connected to it, oh, you know, like weeping for years. You know, yeah, I mean, that was deeply, deeply wrong. I mean, I felt evil. Evil, you know, going to school and having Bible classes and Sodom and Gomorrah, and I will be turned to a pillar of salt. So I remember thinking, why a pillar of salt?
Glitter, maybe, not...
Well, just why salt? I don't understand what. Then you're like sort of cows, or like a cow, you become a cowlick, and cows lick, you know. You get salt licks for cows, if you don't know. Yeah, so then I felt evil, but of course that seeps in, you know, and then it's like, then you get homophobic bullying. Stop being so gay, oh, you know, the one that's effeminate gets picked on, which wasn't me, for whatever reason. You know, they're gay, so that runs through. I mean, my gosh, it's endless.
Do you think it's any better now for kids who are
No.
LGBT+? No, you don't. It's no better than when you were...
No.
Really?
No. I think people, you know, coming up to Pride, we'll all sit there and there'll be people, you know, who are adults and they'll go, isn't it brilliant, we've done so well. All questions, do we need any Pride anymore? Haven't we got everything? All that. No one asks about the kids. Kids aren't really visible during Pride. It's like, yeah, great for me, age 35. But, you know, not for Johnny and Molly, who are still hearing the word, gosh, that's so gay. Stop being so gay. You know, having sexual stereotypes, gender stereotypes going on. It's not dealt with. It still hasn't been dealt with. I've been going on about it in my little capacity for like 6 years or something. I've met 2 education secretaries, and no one cares. They don't. You know. But look at how powerful language is. You know, when I was at school, the language I used. I met up with a friend the other day. We went to our hideous prep school, and he is Egyptian, and he was saying what it was like for him, and you know, we were in a school, and the teachers were racist. I don't know if he experienced racism. I'll just clarify that. But we had someone, and I won't even say what people used to shout out during sports day. You know, the effect of looking at language and going no more, of reclaiming language, of taking language that's been misappropriated and going, no, we're having that back, thank you very much. You know, it's powerful. And I just think that has to happen with the word gay. Gay did not used to mean defunct. It meant happy. You know, it didn't mean, oh, that's... Now it is literally it's probably in the dictionary as... That's so, it could practically be in the dictionary. Yeah. Then someone would say, oh, no, we can't put it in the dictionary, that's wrong. Yeah. It's like, well, if it's wrong there, don't let it being used in it. And I won't give you the stats, but anyway, no, I don't think it's better. Okay. It's not better because people don't, when you're gay, people don't have sanctuary necessarily at home. You know, we can't control home, but we can try and set examples and a moral compass and try and teach and persuade, support, accepting differences. So I do a podcast called Homo Sapiens.
Yes.
Me and my friend Chris Sweeney, and there's a, and I'm saying this not as a shameless plug, but because we interviewed Andrew Moffat, who is a headmaster in Birmingham, and he has a thing called No Outsiders in his school. They are amazing. It's a school that's 98% Muslim, if not more. they're accepting of gay, of Christianity, of being Jewish. It doesn't matter. Being a woman, it is incredible. He introduced that. I just don't see what the problem is. And it's an epidemic, and we've got to look at the rate of suicide. Male suicide particularly, it's 18% of young gay men in the UK. I think 80% will try. You're right. 18%, 34% of young gay men will try and kill themselves. And that goes up to 52% for transgender.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no one does anything about it. They just go, oh, that's a bit awful. Give you a bit of money.